Hello, world literature students. I thought I would go ahead and walk a little bit through the essay assignment so that you could kind of know what I'm expecting for the first essay assignment. And then the second unit will also be covering the same assignment. So it's what you'll essentially be doing for the essay is that you're writing about one work and a theme that you found in that one work in the first unit. And then that's for essay one. And then essay two is going to be kind of a rewrite of that along with an addition of a work from unit two. And so essentially you're going to still use the text and explain all of it and everything, but then you're also going to compare it to the way that that same theme is being treated in the second essay. Now, just so you know where to find everything, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of where we are. So right now we are in the lessons, and this is just in your, you may see things a little bit different because I'm in the instructor view. So I'm going to see some things that maybe you don't see. Right, like right now, the second unit is hidden to you, but I have it here. So, but what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through what I'm expecting as far as an actual essay. And I'll even bring up an essay so that you can kind of see the format and things like that. Now, because you've had Comp 1, and some of you have even had Comp 2, some of you might have even had American Literature, or you've taken humanities, all of them require the essays to be made in MLA format. And so we're going to go a little bit over that. And I'll bring up the Purdue OWL section so that you can kind of know where to look if you can't remember how to do MLA. Maybe it was a couple years ago, maybe it was 10 years ago. I totally get it, but you still have to be able to use MLA format to do what you're going to do. But first, let's find the paper assignment. So if you go into World Literature, Ancient World Literature, the first unit, kind of a little over halfway down, you're going to see the literary readings, then you see the supplementary videos, which are more for enlightenment and some entertainment, then the journal assignments, and then underneath that is the essay assignment instructions. So I'm going to go ahead and open those up. And actually, I'm going to have to switch my view so that you can see the assignment. So let me do that for a second. And so now we are looking at the actual essay assignment. Now, this essay is, I give you a lot of options. I really would rather, more than anything else, that you pick something that you find appealing. So let me go ahead and make this full, and then I'll make it big so that you kind of know what we're doing. Okay, so for the research essay, and this is for 2130, but it's also for 2110. I teach the same sort of thing in both. What I want you to do for your research essay is to essentially go through what you've read and go, okay, first of all, which work speaks to you the most, or did you find the most interesting, or even if it's, which one did you find the easiest to understand? I don't care, that's fine. But I would start with the actual work you want to write about first. And then what I'm not going to ask you to do as part of your essay is I'm not going to ask you to just sit there and summarize the whole thing for me. What's the whole work say? First, Oedipus does this, and then Oedipus does that, and then the people say this, and then Creon says that, and then Tiresias. No, 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 no. I've already read the play. You can assume I've read all of these works. In fact, I've read more of these works than probably you have, such as with the Iliad. So what I'd rather you do, though, is find something, some thread of meaning that you see popping up. Maybe in Oedipus the King, for instance, you're talking about hubris or pride. And that's actually on it's one of the, when he and Laius and Jocasta, all three believe that they can, avoid their fate or go against what the gods say is going to happen. That maybe it's even the whole idea of their, what power do they actually have to do anything, to make any choices. And so it may be that you're looking instead, you really found it interesting that, of course, we're talking about the Oedipus complex. Maybe you thought it was interesting that Oedipus was married to his own mom and he didn't even know it, and even had children and killed his own dad without even knowing it, and so maybe you're looking at, what's wrong with this family, and that's what you find interesting. maybe you're looking too at what it means to be a noble person, you know, to be a king. How is Oedipus's life different because he's a king and he has all these responsibilities than if he were just an average Joe? You know, maybe you're looking at those kinds of elements. The truth is almost any of the works that we cover, with the exception of maybe Lao Tzu's The Tao Te Ching, you know, almost any of them you can find a multitude of different themes. But even within Lao Tzu's work, there is a lot that you can use that's still going to talk about, you know, even things like hubris and pride. Absolutely, the Tao Te Ching deals with that, the whole idea of that you want to look good to other people, or that you want people to esteem you, or you know, you want to get wealth and be wealthier than other people, and you know that you want to be, you know, that success is viewed in these ways. And yet for Lao Tzu and for Taoism, that is not the end goal of anything. If anything, you must fight all you can against your egotism and against, you know, thinking only of yourself. And so that may be a theme that you look at. It may also be the whole idea, the theme of water, and that water fills crevices and that it always seeks a certain path. And you know, you can certainly look at that metaphor as it goes through the ideas of what Taoism is. So the truth is even if something's not listed here, it is totally okay for you to, you know, all you have to do is tell me, hey, this is what work I want to write about, and this is the theme I'm really wanting to explore, and why. What is it that you found interesting about it? So you can literally send me an email that says, hey, I really want to write about the Iliad, and I think more than anything else, I really want to look at the whole idea of resentment and anger and what it does to Achilles. Cool. Then what we'll do is but then at that point, and the whole point of your essay is really not just that you see that it exists, but you're showing me what is the work saying about it. So it's not just that you know, the Iliad says that there is that theme of, you know, heroism or anger or nobility or whatever. It's that, what is it saying about that? Even about death, you know, what does it say about people dying and facing death? What, especially in when we're talking about war, how do people die and what causes them to die in the Iliad? And show me the number one thing I'm looking for in this essay, the number one thing I'm going to grade on, is that you are actually discussing clearly that theme and how it shows up in the work that you're talking about. So I want to see direct quotes. I want to see you really explaining what it's about, what those quotes mean, interpreting what those characters are going through by what they say and what they do. I really want you to draw conclusions based on those things. So, if you don't use the text, you're not doing the assignment. So the number one thing is I want you to quote the text. And so this is going to be kind of where I'm looking for most. If you're worried, oh no, my essay is going to be super short, it won't be if you quote the text. You know, use actual quotes from different sections of Lao Tzu's work, or different books of the Iliad, or different scenes of Oedipus the King. But if you use those elements and quote what the characters are saying, and then you explain what those quotes mean, you're going to have tons of information. You're going to have plenty of length. Don't worry about how long something is. The other thing I want you to use, if possible, is for you to use outside sources, just a couple of them. But if you can certainly talk about Greek idealism, you could talk about Greek belief, maybe it's a source that talks a little bit about, it could even be one of those videos, honestly, that talks about how they got into the war in the first place, and that sometimes we're not fighting for things that really matter a whole lot. You know, should all of these men have died just so that Menelaus could have gotten his wife Helen back? Is that worth it? And in some ways, you know, their reason for going to war is arbitrary. It's not very compelling, and yet they were forced to do so. So any of that is a possibility. It just matters how, you know, whatever you choose to write about, whatever theme you choose to explore in your work, then we need to know We need to see it happening. Show me in the text where it's used and explain those things. You do that and you're going to be fine. Okay. Now you need an introduction and a conclusion. I would really carefully kind of go through all of these, make sure that your essay is doing all of the things that are listed. But number one, here I'm making a build. Very first, most important thing though, is that you give me a topic. You email me very, very soon and tell me, this is what I'd like to write about. This is the work I want to work on. And this is the theme. Now, one reason I ask you to do that is if your theme is way too specific, like, oh, I want to write about the Trojan War. Well, problem is when we get to the medieval period, there are no works about the Trojan War. There may be works about war, or about death, or about heroism, or about justice, or about a lot of other things. But the Trojan War is not on the list of medieval works. However, there can be a lot of other things too. So what I'm going to try to do is move you in a direction so that when you get to the medieval period, you can write about that same theme and just add to your paper and write about a new work. So the second part of the essay really does that. We're not doing part 3 because we're only doing 2 units because it's summer. But in the second part, what you're going to do is exactly the same thing as you did here, only you're going to keep that theme, whatever theme you chose, whether it's war, change, hubris, whatever, heroism, fate, and then you're going to essentially look at that same theme in another work in the medieval period. So the intro and conclusion will change because you're covering 2 works instead of 1 work, but you'll have the option to rewrite and to revise the first paper based upon my feedback. And then you can write hopefully you'll have a better idea of what you're doing for the second half of it when you're writing about a medieval work. So I'll still want to know, I'll probably give you some suggestions actually when I grade part 1 about works that you want to look for in part 2 so that you can, that will fit your theme, so that you can kind of have your eyes open and ready for those and see, okay, which of those would you really want to write about? If you want to write about something else, that's cool. I just need to know so that I can approve. Okay, then the last thing you need, I'm going to go ahead and stop doing this for a second. And I want to share something else. And so I'm going to go back to the content. And what I want to do is share Google Chrome. And I'm going to move, I'm actually going to open up a new thing. And all I want, if you are, I told you already we had to write based on MLA format. If you look MLA format, Purdue OWL is going to pop up. Purdue OWL is just from Purdue University. It is actually their online writing lab. So it is intended for students to use. In fact, students all over the world use this lab because it's got a lot of good resources. It's mostly up to date. It's updated enough that I use it and I always suggest. So it has things from MLA general format. In fact, you can even look at a sample paper. And there's one right here, first page of an MLA paper. I do want you to use MLA formatting. I want you to use the MLA heading. I want you to have the page numbers up on the top right with your last name in front. If you're not sure exactly how to do any of that kind of stuff, let me know. I also want it all double spaced. Extra spacing is a no. And so if you're not sure how to remove extra spacing, you can always ask. But it even has a sample works cited page. So it shows you how to cite sources in MLA format. It has all sorts of how do you cite books, how do you cite online things, how do you format quotes inside of an essay. So the Purdue OWL, just remember, Purdue Online Writing Lab, that's what you want. And that's going to kind of walk you through any of that. If you're worried about finding sources and you're not sure where to go, let me know. Just pop me an email anytime. You can also, and please do use this if you can, if you have time, send me your rough draft. Say, am I on the right track? And I will do what I can to help you not only with formatting, but also with the development and with quoting sources or whatever. And even with a works cited page. So I will help you with it at any stage, and with any part of it, you just need to send it to me so that I can, and make sure you don't send it to me the day before it's due, because I'm not going to have time to read it and give you good feedback back. But if you can send it ahead of time, I'll, just give me a few days at least so that I can respond, and I'll try to write you back with pretty good substantive feedback. Either way, even if you don't turn in a rough draft, when you get to when you turn in the actual first paper, I'm going to give you extensive feedback. I'm not just going to grade it. I'm actually going to write all over it too. So please make sure when you get that grade back that you pay attention to those suggestions, because you can revise it, remember, and then that will help you hopefully write the second paper and feel a lot more self-assured. But at any time, you can always ask me questions about things. So if you really desperately need, I'm going to go ahead and go back into my World Lit class from last semester, and I'll see if there's a research paper that I can post up there without the students' names on it, so that you can see kind of what I'm looking for as far as format too. But the best place to go is the Purdue OWL website. So if you have questions, once you watch this video, make sure and ask. Never feel like I'm going to be upset if you ask questions. I'd rather you ask and know the answer. And honestly, if you ask the question, I'll probably share the answer with everyone. And so everyone will be grateful that you asked the question, because then everyone will have the information. So just let me know what you don't understand. Let me know if there's anything that's confusing to you, or even better, let me know what work you want to write about and what theme you want to use. Thanks, guys.